Hello and welcome to another video. We're well into spring now, it's the 23rd of March, and in stark contrast to a lot of my recent videos, we've got bright blue sunshine outside. It's absolutely gorgeous, and you know, it's going to be a nice change from all the wet weather we've had and wind and rain and everything over the winter. It's been a really warm winter but a really wet one, and I've not really wanted to get out. Now we're in the middle of this crazy coronavirus outbreak at the moment, and I must admit I had to think a little bit about whether to get out on this session or not, because you know, we're supposed to be socially isolating, but I figured what better place to do it than down my local lake. So I'm heading to the day ticket. You've seen it in plenty of my previous videos, and I'm going to be taking you through my spring tactics, all of the rigs, the bait, the carp location and watercraft that you need to know to help you catch carp at this time of year. And if you need some entertainment whilst you're on lockdown, hopefully this video is going to help you out. It's a bit of a funny time we're going through at the moment, something that we've never really seen in our lifetime, but hopefully we can get through it, and hopefully we can still keep getting out and doing what we love. So if you like carp fishing videos, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be trying to get out as much as I can in the coming weeks and keeping the content coming for you guys. So yeah, stay safe everyone, and keep watching for the rest of the video where we're going to be taking you through the spring tactics. Right, so here we are then. It's getting into the afternoon now. I've sort of faffed around setting up. It's taken me a little bit longer than planned, but we're finally here. We're all set up. I've got 2 rods in my swim, and then I've put 1 in the swim next door. It's nice and safe, you know, it's not fishing to any snags or anything, but there's just a spot that I know there. I didn't want to overcrowd this swim because it's a little bit tight for space, so that's a little tip, you know, if you're fishing a small lake and you've not got all that much water in front of you, don't be afraid to sort of poke rods in gaps, as long as it's not too far away and the fishery owner says it's alright to do so. So this session we're literally only fishing really sort of overnight. It's about 4:30 now. I've only just got the rods out and I've got to be off at 8 in the morning, so I haven't got an awful lot of time. But what I was hoping to talk to you about, as I said earlier, was spring tactics. And that's everything from rigs, bait, carp location particularly, because that's the most important thing, isn't it? And you know, generally tips to catching more fish at this time of year. It's really cold today, we've got an easterly wind, and it doesn't feel like spring, I'll be honest, but the sun's been out, and actually in the sun it feels quite nice and warm. But when you get that wind on you and you're in the shade, it still feels like the middle of winter. So, you know, not all that sort of springy conditions, but believe me, the fish will be starting to wake up, and hopefully we'll have a fish to show you on this session. So what I thought I might do, as we haven't got all that much time left before it gets dark, I thought I'd wait till the morning to talk through all my spring tactics. So for now I'm just going to be, you know, watching the water, hopefully seeing the fish moving around as they're hopefully starting to wake up. I'm also seeing quite a lot of activity from the bird life, which is another little tip for you, which I'll talk about more tomorrow. But for now, I think I'll just, you know, stick the kettle on and have a little chill out for the rest of the day. Got a couple of cheeky ciders with me as well, which is always nice. Warm me up on a cold night. And yeah, in the morning we'll be talking about spring tactics, but hopefully before then we'll have a fish to show you, so stay tuned to see that, guys. And yeah, I'll talk to you soon. Well, today has gone so quickly. Still feels very wintry, and still got quite short days. It's getting dark around 6:30 now. But I just thought before it does get fully dark, I might just tell you a bit more about this session, because I realised I kind of skipped over that earlier. So yeah, we're down the day ticket, as I said before, and with this crazy virus that's going around, the coronavirus, I've not really been getting out that much, you know. I've been sort of at home helping out with the kids and everything, because school's closed now, and it all feels a bit crazy, you know, something that we've never seen in our lifetimes before, and hopefully we can all get through it fairly quickly and get back to normal. It'd be nice to think that by the summer we might be living our lives as normal again, but who knows, you know, they're talking about months rather than weeks, really. But yeah, I've just decided to get out fishing, because I'm still isolated, aren't I, by a lake, rather than being sat at home. I'm still kind of cut off from society, if you like. So yeah, down at the day ticket, and I'm only doing overnight, really. Fairly limited time at the moment. So tactics for this session, really, I've gone for, you know, fishing for a bite rather than filling it in with loads of bait. I've just put a small handful of crumb boilie and a few pellets out with my normal withy pool rig in the boat, because we're fishing tight to some far margin snags, and you can't really cast there because you kind of got to get underneath the branches. So I've taken the boat out there, a handful of bait, and then just fired, you know, a few round as well, just to get the fish moving. I feel like if the fish are moving, they're a bit easier to catch, rather than having a tight clump of bait. They tend to just sit on it and suck and blow, and I think they can get away with rigs a lot easier like that. But if you have a few scattered around, they're going to pick them up and move a bit more, and they're more likely to tighten the hook link to the lead and hook themselves. That's something I've sort of realised over a long time, you know. The more the fish are moving, the easier they are to catch, I think. So I always, rather than have a tight bed of bait, I try and spread it a bit if I can. It seems to help with hook holds and things. So yeah, I've just put with the pool rigs out and all 3 rods, and the same tactics, really, and I'm just fishing spots that I've caught on before and I know produce. And yeah, I've not really got much else to say at this point in the session. We're coming into darkness, which tends to be, for me anyway, the best time on this lake, particularly in the colder months. We are in March now, but it hasn't properly warmed up yet, and so I'm still expecting action through the night, really. So stay tuned, guys. It's early days yet on this session. We've had clear skies and high pressure, so not the best conditions, particularly for a daytime bite, but as we come into night, I'm hoping that the fish are going to sort of have a little mooch around. I have seen fish in the snaggy bush that I'm fishing to, so I know they're there. So I'm in the right area. I've got bait that I've caught on before, I've got rigs that I'm confident in, so I've done everything I can, and it's up to the fish now, really. So yeah, we're going to be just waiting, really, and hoping for the best, but also just trying to relax a bit and try and forget about all the madness that's going on with this virus, because yeah, it all feels a bit strange at the moment. Comment below if you've been affected by coronavirus. I'd be interested. There's certainly a couple of people that I know that have had it, and they are sort of keeping themselves locked away at the moment, and it'd be just interesting to see and hear about what sort of effect and what impact it's had on your lives while we're going through all this. I'm going to try, as I said, to keep getting out and making videos for you guys as much as I can until they tell us that we're not allowed out anymore. So keep watching my channel, you know. I really appreciate the support, and all you subscribers that have already subscribed, really appreciate, you know, you guys being involved in my channel. And hopefully this year, when things get back to normal, we can start planning some trips again. I've got a trip booked for June to France, but it seems fairly unlikely at the moment that that's going to be happening, unless something miraculous happens and they discover a vaccine or something. But we'll have to wait and see. But if not, I'm going to be fishing closer to home. I've got a club water that I really want to start targeting soon, so stay tuned for that, guys. And yeah, as I said, we're going to be talking about spring tactics tomorrow, so lots to talk about, how you can improve your chances of catching carp as it's warming up and as we're coming into spring. So yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll keep you updated with any fish and any action, and then we'll be talking about spring tactics in the morning.
Drowning by yourself, now you wanna blame me, like you have no options. I ain't take your options. Now I'm not the problem, man, that's on you, yeah. You've been terrorizing me, yeah, I'm always wrong. I knew you lost your mind when you dropped that bomb.
Well, good morning, guys. Hopefully you saw that just a little while ago there, a fish showed out there, and that's the third or fourth time it's done it now. And actually the first time they did it, I wound in this rod that's on its own in the next door swim, and I cast out to that showing fish because it's the first fish activity I've seen since I've been here yesterday. I've had a quiet night last night, which is a little bit gutting, but it was really cold. We had clear skies, as you can hopefully see now. It's still really clear skies, almost kind of frosty conditions, just slightly above freezing. And yeah, the fish were really inactive, and the wind dropped right off as well, which isn't always good. You know, we've got high pressure at the moment, which tends to put the fish off the feed, and we've also got an easterly wind, so it's really tricky conditions. But I woke up this morning about 5 o'clock and looked out into the open water and saw a fish show, and then I've just put this rod out there, and then it's just shown again a couple more times. So I'm going to leave the camera on, and hopefully if something happens we can catch it on the camera, and hopefully we'll have a fish to show you. There's a few little bubbles coming up out there, and then the fish just showed again a little while ago. So that's my first spring tip on this video, really, is keep your eyes open and you know, act on anything you see. You know, cast to showing fish, or at least note down areas that you see in the fish for next session. You know, if you've got to be off, if you've got to get going and go home, but you've seen the fish, make sure you sort of make a mental note of it and investigate that area next time you come with a marker rod or bare lead or something, and make sure you can find a clear spot there, because it can be, you know, really productive to find where the fish are at this time of year, because quite often they'll be sort of looking for areas to think about spawning and stuff. Even though it's still fairly early, they do start looking into the sort of weedier areas and the areas where they feel they can rub up against while they're spawning. So tip number one really for spring fishing is to keep your eyes open, observe what's going on, and then act on it. So yeah, cast to showing fish, and you may just catch an extra bonus fish. So stay tuned guys, we're going to be hopefully seeing some action on this rod in a minute, and then I'm going to get into a few more spring tips for you. Right, well, sadly nothing happened on that rod in open water there where I saw the showing fish, although I'll definitely be leaving it out there for the rest of the session. So a crazy thing has happened. Last night I was actually watching the news and the announcement came. Boris Johnson said we all got to stay indoors now for the next at least 3 weeks. So I'm starting to think I should probably pack up and go home on this session. And it looks like I won't be fishing for at least the next 3 weeks. But who knows what's going to happen after that. So yeah, absolutely mental really. Can't quite get my head around it, to be honest with you. But we've got to do what they tell us to keep everyone safe really, haven't we? So I'm going to quickly run you through some spring tips, but then that's going to be it for this session because I'm going to have to pack up and go home. So yeah, we'll just run through my thoughts on spring fishing. I'm hoping we're not going to miss the best part of the spring this year, but you know, it's very important that we do what they tell us, isn't it? So yeah, we'll get on with the spring tips, and yeah, if anything happens, obviously fish-wise, I'll show you that as well. So my second tip for spring carp fishing then, remember you've already had the first tip, which is kind of watch the water and cast to showing fish. Second tip is baiting really. You don't want to be trying to give the fish a lot of food at this time of year. The water's still really cold. It's currently about 7 or 8 degrees, so really still winter temperatures. So the carp's metabolism's still quite slow, and they're not going to be eating large meals, but they certainly are going to be cruising around looking for little treats here and there. So rather than putting out a kilo of bait and fishing over the top of it, you want to be putting out just little attractive parcels, you know, get some liquids in there, a bit of crumbed up boilie to release the attractors, and just enough for a bite really. And that can really help if you combine that with watching the water and casting to showing fish, you know. So don't just cast to areas that you think are going to be productive. Try and find where the fish are, and then cast something there that they want to eat, that's a small attractive parcel, just enough to nick a bite. The third tip I can give you for carp fishing in spring, and it's also related to bait, but this is more your hook bait, and that's to use something visual. This time of year the carp's eyesight is still quite diminished from the cold water and the low metabolism throughout the winter. Just as they start waking up though, they can be caught out by a bright hook bait because it stands out to them, and this time of year they're getting quite inquisitive and a lot more active and moving around more. So a bright hook bait in the right place is a lot better than a dull hook bait over loads of bait in the wrong place, you know. So cut down your amount of bait and use visual baits rather than trying to feed the fish. So that's what I did on this rod. I've just put out an orange tutti frutti and a little stringer of Escort 3 boilies, and I'm hoping that one's going to pay off. This rod you can see behind me here. So yeah, we'll move on to the next tip. Guys, the next tip I can give you, tip number 4, is all about carp location really. And the main thing I'm looking for in the spring really is the shallower water, so the margins, island margins, any sort of plateaus where the water is a bit shallower on top. The fish, they like warmth, you know, they're warm-blooded like we are, and it's the shallow water that will warm up the quickest in the spring. So if you've got an island margin, or you know, a reed line or something like that where the sun hits for a lot of the day, and it's a little bit shallower in that area, you can be sure that the fish will be patrolling that area, trying to keep warm, and also looking for little bits of food just to keep them going as they start moving around a bit more. So yeah, my main spring tip for carp location really is look for the shallower water. Time and time again I've done this in the spring and it's paid off really well, you know. I particularly like a margin where the sun hits it for most of the day. But any shallower water really, and don't neglect zigs as well, because not only will the fish look for shallower water, but also they'll move up in the water if the lake's particularly deep. So, you know, if you've got 15 foot of water, they might be in the top third of that water. So don't neglect zigs if you've got deeper water, or if you can find a shallow area, particularly where the sun hits, then that can be your absolute best bet for a spring bite. My last tip, so tip number 5 for spring carp fishing, is to do with rigs, and particularly this time of year pop-up rigs come into their own. The weed's starting to grow again, and a rig just sat above it can really catch a carp's eye, particularly with a bright hook bait. So this time of year, more than any other time of year, I prefer pop-up rigs with a bright hook bait. It's caught me countless carp, more than I can remember at this time of year. It's a really good time of year to be using pop-ups. Any colour really, white's really good at any time of year. I really like it in the spring as well. Pink's one of my favourite colours in the spring, particularly on low light days. I think pink stands out the best in low light. So white, pink, yellow and orange, really, they're the colours that I use the most. If I had to pick one, probably white, but it's mostly because the bait that I use, the Richworth Escort original, is quite a pale colour. I like the white because it sort of looks like the washed out bottom baits, to me anyway, so, and it seems to work, so I'll stick with it, you know. I don't like to change too much if I've got something that's catching for me. So yeah, that's it, that's my spring tips really. Hopefully there's something there that helps you catch a few more carp, and hopefully we'll be able to get out fishing again in the next few weeks. But yeah, we'll have to see. Whilst we're on lockdown, there's not going to be anything happening, so yeah, stay tuned on my channel. Well, go back, look over some of my old videos, and I'll try and get some more videos done for you as soon as I possibly can. Alright guys, remember to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.